Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host, Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and as the NBA draft approaches and free agency looms, the Hawks are making noise in more ways than one, to put it lightly. Today, we're going to be breaking down some recent major developments from the team's growing interest in rising draft prospect Haman Maluach and what they might be willing to do to select him on June 25th, from the potential departure of veteran center Clint Capella, something we've been covering for the past several weeks now and is almost a given, and a series of names being floated around as possible offseason additions, including a controversial one in Ben Simmons and also a rock-solid one in Steven Adams from Houston. There's a lot to unpack, so without further ado, let's get right into it and start with the NBA draft. So the Hawks do hold picks 13 and 22 in the 2025 NBA draft, but that does not mean they are staying put or that they're satisfied with just picking up two rookies. According to NBA draft analyst Rafael Barlow, Atlanta is actively exploring ways to move up in the draft, with one name in particular capturing their full attention, Haman Maluach, the 7'2 center out of Duke. So let's talk about why this matters. So Barlow notes that the Hawks' interest in Maluach predates the team's recent front office hires. That tells us two things. First, there's been a consistent belief in Maluach's potential among the Hawks' internal scouting staff for quite some time now. And second, the organization has likely been doing its homework on him for quite a while. I mean, obviously we know of his history with Kyle Korver and the deep ties that the Atlanta Hawks have with Duke University's basketball program, just going way back. I mean, Quinn Snyder's our head coach, and obviously we have other Duke grads in our front office and coaching staff. And I mean, obviously we've got Jalen Johnson. We've really drafted some Duke guys, especially in recent years. So it's a really good connection that is probably the reason why the Hawks are so high on Maluach and probably have scouted him to their best ability. So for those not yet familiar, Haman Maluach is a 7'2" center who played 39 games this past season, averaging 9.7 rebounds and 1.3 blocks per game. But it's not just the box score that jumps out, it's how he gets those numbers. So Maluach is elite in terms of size and mobility. Despite his towering frame, he does move fluidly across the court. He's a natural rim protector, and in pick and roll situations, he's absolutely lethal and among the best in college basketball last season. He has a similar frame to Rudy Gobert, except he's much more mobile and a much more versatile defender, let's say. He shot an absurd 72.3% from the field, just ridiculous, and even better, 88.9% on layups, dunks, and tip-ins. In other words, if he is near the rim, he's going to finish. It's almost guaranteed points. He also averaged nearly 3 offensive rebounds a game, making him an absolute nightmare for defenses to box out. However, Maluach is obviously not a finished product. He's still got a long way to go, and he really is more of a project. Kind of think similar to Derek Lively of the Mavericks. When they drafted him, they weren't expecting him to immediately impact, although he fit right into the system pretty quickly and developed a great, two-way tandem with the other stars on that team. So, I mean, he's just 18 years old. He's raw. His shooting range is obviously still developing. He was shot just 25% from 3 last season, but the intangibles are there, and he tends to struggle defending quicker, more agile bigs. He also does get into foul trouble a lot when caught out of position, so that's something that obviously we need adjusting as he's entering the NBA, and it might take him some time, but that's why he would be a good fit, because the Hawks are starting Onyeka Okongwu next season, and they're confident in starting Onyeka Okongwu, but they do need a backup center. So here's where things do get interesting. Barlow does say Maluach's floor is at pick number 9 with the Toronto Raptors. So if the Hawks are serious, they'll have to find a way into that 5 to 9 range. That could mean parting with another pick, a role player, or even a veteran contract. But the bigger question is, would he be worth it? If the Hawks are aiming to, for a long-term, retool around the younger talent, and pairing Maluach with Okongwu in the front court gives them one of the most dynamic young front courts in the league, dynamic 1-2 punch starting and off the bench. So keep an eye on this situation as it is developing quickly. I mean, would you be willing to part ways with 13 and 22 to move up to like 8 or 9? I definitely would be, because I love Maluach and I think he is a perfect fit going forward with Atlanta's young core. But it's interesting to think about, and it's something that a lot of people tend to disagree on. So let me know in the comments. Now, while the Hawks might be looking at the center of the future, with Maluach. One current veteran may be headed out of town and is actually very likely headed out of town. So according to NBA insider Anthony Irwin, Clint Capella is high on the Lakers' target board as Los Angeles searches for some real size in the front court after, we'll give this some context. The Lakers were eliminated from the playoffs last season in the first round. Well, this season in the first round, in part due to their lack of interior defense and rebounding depth. They've got the mid-level exception, about $5.7 million to work with, and Capella is reportedly a name that they believe is within reach, and I believe that is a reasonable contract for a guy like Clint Capella at this stage in his career. It's also important to note that Capella is obviously an unrestricted free agent. The Hawks have his bird rights, but will likely not bring him back as the organization really tries to, find something different going forward in the front court. And he's obviously been on the trade block for over a year now. Atlanta did try to ship him at the trade deadline. That ultimately fell through, and he remained with the roster, but he was out with an injury for the rest of the season and never really suited back up once he was healthy. And that's obviously something that pretty much signifies that he is on his way out. I mean, the writing's been on the wall for a while, especially with the emergence of Onyeka Okongwu and the front office's clear intention to reset the roster around Trae Young. Capella might not be the most versatile offensive center, but in spurts he is reliable. I mean, his averages did take a little bit of a hit last season. They went down a little bit, but when he's healthy, he can still be one of the best screen setters and rim runners in the game. If the Lakers do, try to make a deal for him, I think the Hawks would be just fine letting him go. But that doesn't mean we don't appreciate his services over the past several seasons. And he would be a pretty good fit with LA and Luka Doncic. That would give them at least a little bit of a boost in the front court, which is something that they very much would need. And it would be a good fit for Capella, as we are really going to wish him the best as he, progresses to another team and makes his way out of Atlanta. So now this next one might be a little polarizing. And I'm going to talk about Ben Simmons. You heard that right. The former All-Star and Defensive Player of the Year finalist is officially an unrestricted free agent after playing last season with the Los Angeles Clippers. And the Hawks could, I guess, be a dark horse to give him a shot. Now, let's not sugarcoat it. Simmons' stock is very low. He's missed, obviously, major chunks of the past few seasons, and his offensive limitations have been well documented. But here's the counterpoint. Simmons could actually fit very well in Atlanta's second unit. And here's why. First, the price. I mean, he would come cheap. The Clippers are unlikely to retain him, and he's no longer commanding any kind of premium. Hawks could get him on a cheap 1 or 2 year deal. Second, his skill set. I mean, Simmons is a point forward who can initiate offense, defend 4 or 5 positions, and even play small ball center in certain lineups. I mean, that kind of versatility on both ends of the floor is something that Atlanta was really lacking in their second unit last season, and it could be a good fit. He's not going to space the floor, obviously, but he can bring pace, some elite playmaking, and some real switchability on defense. If the Hawks, lose Clint Capella, obviously, which is looking likely, and really are trying to find like a little facilitator in the second unit, or get some more front court depth, Simmons could offer some sneaky value, especially on a short-term, non-guaranteed deal. He wouldn't be a savior, but as a low-risk flyer, it might just make a good bit of sense. So lastly, we're going to turn our attention to none other than Steven Adams, a more traditional and far more respected name among NBA media and people around the league. The veteran big man is coming off of a season spent with the Houston Rockets, where he did play a vital role anchoring their defense off the bench and mentoring a young roster. Now, what team does that sound familiar to? The Atlanta Hawks. Adams is a free agent this summer. While the Rockets are reportedly interested in bringing him back and will probably prioritize that a little bit, multiple teams are expected to pursue him, and the Hawks should absolutely be one of them. There's been no smoke on that so far, but the Hawks absolutely should get involved in the Steven Adams sweepstakes, although it won't really be a sweepstakes. He's not going to command a lot of money. But here's why. First, the culture fit. I mean, Adams is known around the league as one of the best locker room presences ever. I mean, with Atlanta's young core still developing, guys like Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, Zachary Risachet, Onyeka Okongwu, maybe even Kaman Maluach, Adams would be an ideal veteran to show them the ropes and really, get them adjusted to the NBA as they're still adjusting. Second, the on-court value. I mean, Adams is still an elite rebounder and interior defender. He knows how to set some hard screens, box out, and protect the rim without fouling. Traits that are surprisingly rare even among today's bigs. And perhaps most importantly, he'd be a absolutely terrific backup for Onyeka Okongwu. He wouldn't demand big minutes or a lot of touches, and he could help Okongwu continue evolving into a full-time starter, which is extremely important for the trajectory of the franchise. I mean, if Capella is indeed on the way out. Steven Adams should be one of Atlanta's first calls in free agency, obviously depending on what they do in the NBA draft and if they keep their picks, if they trade up, and what really goes on there. So that's going to wrap it up for today's edition of Hawks Latest. To recap, we are keeping a close watch on the Hawks' potential move up the draft board and the growing buzz surrounding Clint Capella's future, possibly with the Lakers. Meanwhile, names like Ben Simmons and Steven Adams could play a role in Atlanta's forever changing offseason strategy, either as second unit stabilizers or real veteran mentors. The Hawks front office is busy, and it's only going to get crazier as we approach the draft and free agency. And as I'm making this video, the draft is just 2 weeks away, so we're getting right there, guys. It's going to be an exciting time, and I can't wait to cover it all here on Hawks Latest. As always, I'm Zach Langley. Thank you for watching Hawks Latest. If you enjoyed the content, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a single update, as we are going to be pushing out videos every single day, as always. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.